All right, we'll turn it over to Spencer Simmons.
Good afternoon. As President Cortway said, I'm Spencer Sims, and I'm the current Executive President of the Student Government. I'd like to just update all of you on some things that we're doing, some of our major projects, just so that you all know what's going on. So the semester is off to a great start. Our committees have been working very hard on projects, and we're so excited about all the progress that we have made thus far, and are looking forward to what else is to come with the help from all of you. So currently we're working on the three major projects as a result of Mr. Reynolds' allocation from the December board meeting. First, we're working on purchasing more seating for the amphitheater and updating the landscaping. We will soon replace the furniture here in the Student Center, and I've been talking a lot with Mr. Phelps about that. So I think it's really going to help the students and benefit them. And then one last thing, SAPA hearings, student activity fee allocation is one of our biggest projects of the year. And hearings will be March 4th, and applications are due February 2nd and are currently available on the website. So if you know any registered student organizations that need funding for activities, this is what we can do to help them with that. So make sure that they're aware, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me or check out our website. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Kevin Brown, Faculty Senate. I think the first thing that, the most important thing that's happening in our world is that the Gen Ed proposal is ready for Board of Trustees approval. The Faculty Senate called a special meeting on January 9th to chew this over. The conversation was lively and spirited, but in the end, we voted, I believe the vote was 18-2, to endorse the proposal. Many remaining concerns. Some of the details still concerns to some people, but in the end, one of our senators made, I think, the best comment, which was, let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. It's a very powerful change for us, and I think it's going to make us very unique. Very unique, is how we're going to make us unique in the state, where all the other, many of the other schools are simply saying, okay, we'll go to the state mandated 35, and that's the end of it. What we're doing is developing a program, and it's going to be a challenge to implement. And that was, and still remains a concern, is the aggressiveness of the timeline, the aggressiveness of the schedule. But in the end, we were persuaded that we really had no choice, that the HLC visit in November will want us to have an accessible program established. And we were, in the end, persuaded. I was one of those who kept asking, right, are you sure? Are you sure we don't have more time? But I was persuaded, and so were the majority of the faculty senators. So now we need to implement, and we all need to work really, really hard to make it happen over the next years.
That's number one. Number two is, you may have seen this in the news media, we put out our pouring rights contract for a bid, and the committee recommended last week that the Coca-Cola receive that. We're in the process, probably in the next 2 weeks, I think about 2 weeks, we'll begin negotiations with Coca-Cola for the contract for that. And so there'll be more on that later. Here's some of the, and then I'll take questions after this. We had several questions submitted, increased parking on campus. We are in the process that we knocked a couple of houses down. I don't know, Diane can tell me the number, but what's the north overflow lot across from Thompson Hall is going to be extended down Augusta. The lot's already cleared, and that will be open by August. That is going before the Board of Trustees, I think, in February, to let the contract for that, and it will be built. And then there's going to be a small lot in the center of campus right by Bear Hall. Part of that's going to be the Deep Brown Memorial Garden, and the other part of it is going to be a parking lot where we're still in the design phase of the parking lot, and if Larry here, Larry and Diane, we've gone round and round and round. It's still not designed. We're going to make it as green as possible, as low impact as possible. But there's some other cost factors in effect, and we've got the architects and engineers in the process of designing that. So that hasn't been fully designed, but when it is, it will go out for bid. But that's another one of the sustainability features we're trying to add on campus. In December of 2010, our current interim provost, who at that time was the dean of the College of Natural Sciences and Mathematics, and I was involved in that as well, there was a proposal to set aside the nature reserve in what's called a perpetual easement. And what that means is, perpetual means perpetual. It means forever. And so it was presented to the board that the nature reserve would be set aside in perpetuity. And a deed would have been recorded basically to the state of Arkansas that anyone could enforce so that that ground could never have been disturbed. And after what I think was a fairly spirited and actually lengthy debate before the Board of Trustees, the board decided to do it for 5 years. If there's a question about crosswalk safety, if you'll notice, we put some additional signage around campus in the turn, in the middle of the road. Actually, over the weekend, when I was going to the basketball games, I actually saw people stopping at those signs when there were no pedestrians. So, I mean, that's working. I mean, they would actually come to that sign and stop, and then they would proceed ahead. So that's been a good. I think we'll increase that signage as we go ahead. The police always do a good job on break for bears, and that program raises awareness. SGA, my notes say, recently sent out an email to the police chief stating they appreciated what had been done on the signage. And then, you know, at some point we've got to look at getting a few more lighted crosswalks. The final thing I've got is there was a question about, and most of these questions that I'm reading from, I believe, were submitted by a class in the Department of Psychology. And the last one was about Airmark bidding and contract award process. And I guess it was talking about what can we do to ensure that there's a fair bidding process. And I will say this, the last food service contract that was awarded by this university may have been the most public and thoroughly examined contract in the history of the state of Arkansas. And it was put out for bid, and it was thoroughly analyzed by a committee. It was in the press frequently. It was brought before the Board of Trustees, and it was laid out there for all the world to see. One thing I'm proud of, it wasn't my idea, so I'm not going to claim credit for this. I think it was either Cassandra's or someone else, Diane or somebody. I don't know whose idea it was. It really doesn't matter. It benefits UCA. But we've expanded.